Welcome back to episode 10 of our expansion franchise series with the Nashville Stars. I'm glad you are here. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and today we are going to be getting straight into the draft and All-Star Weekend and all that entails for us. But in the last episode, there were a ton of moves around our team, a lot of them pertaining to because of injuries. You can see here we have one player who's on the bench. We have a couple that are 60 days. A couple of these guys are major league players. So Reed Detmers is down for 1 to 2 more months, probably 30 days left on his injury. And then Victor Caratini has a torn finger ligament and is down for another 45 days. So he won't be back till closer to the end of the season, which is really unfortunate because he was having a really good year. 253 average, 410 slugging, which is good for a 751 OPS, which is well above average. And him also being a very good fielder made him a day-to-day player who we're missing very, very much. But he was replaced on the lineup with Edgar Caro, the former top prospect in our system. He was able to fill in. He had a good start to the season, batting above like 350 in his first 30 or 40 at bats, but he's dropped down here to 275, which is still pretty good. 3 homers, 11 RBIs, not too shabby. He's progressing in every area. Not much more you can ask for the switch hitting catcher. But like I said just a minute ago, I do want to get straight into the draft. So let's go ahead and simulate one more week, get the scouting out of the way, and then we'll get neck deep into the draft where we're this 12th pick of this year and see if we can pick up a hidden gem maybe later on. Looking through the prospects this year, I don't really see much. There's a lot of pitchers where we picked a ton of pitchers last draft. I don't want to pick a ton of pitchers this draft. So we'll have to kind of devise a good strategy to hopefully pick up a player that's going to be meaningful down the line. But before that, there is a massive haul as the Guardians acquire Brenton Doyle from the Rockies for Jason Chourio, who came from the Brewers, and Angel Genoa and Andrew Walters. The only one I'm really interested in is Jason Chourio, the former Brewer, who hasn't really been playing. He's not above A-ball. Is it the same one? I'm not really sure. But anyways, Brenton Doyle, it will be moving to Cleveland. And I don't know why they traded for him. Under a 200 average. He's definitely more of a fielder player with 2 gold gloves in 23 and 24. And that's really what carries him. Very fast, but the hit tool is very much to be desired. So interesting choice there for the Guardians. And here we are for the 2026 draft. Let's go ahead and get into it. The White Sox have the first pick, and off the board, the Rockies have the first pick, and off the board they will go with Jesus Macias, the 21-year-old starting pitcher, the righty that looks to be very good. 80 to 99 potential. We didn't scout him, so he may be a little under that. We had him slotted as the number 2, but the Rockies selected him as the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Next up at the number 2 slot is the White Sox, and they'll go down and grab Levi Mays out of that 3rd slot on the MLB.com rankings, but our internal rankings had him as the 8th pick. So an interesting grab there. The right fielder, we did scout because we're looking for some outfielders of the future. Can also play first base, left field, and center field. The 4-year junior is a batter as a righty, and he's 21. So he looks to be pretty decent, 78 to 88 potential. A little bit low for a top 2 pick, but the White Sox will use him out there to man the right side of their outfield. And then at the number 3 slot, the Reds will go grab Charles Reyes, another lower drafted player or lower ranked player at number 8 for MLB, and then us internally for number 6. He has a little bit better potential with a 79 to 93, a little bit older, 22 years old, righty that looks to be very, very serviceable for the Reds. And then going ahead and simulate here, we're going to look through these. We have 4 minutes, so we'll have enough time to cover them. At the 4 slot, the Padres selected Franklin Murray, a decent player. We didn't scout him much. At the 5 slot, Easton Justice, a starting pitcher who we scouted. We didn't really want him, but we had him projected the best player in the draft. He looks to be very good. A 5-pitch mix. It is demonic for sure. So hopefully he doesn't pan out. But no, he looks to be good on paper. And the rest of these players here, we scouted a few of these guys. Nothing too crazy. Again, this draft I feel like is very, very weak. But we'll have to wait and see. So coming up to our pick, there's a few options we have that we can go with. We want an outfielder. The first one that looks like that should be coming out of us for us is Ray McAllister. The only issue here is that he's pretty young and he is injured. He can play shortstop and all the outfield position, which is very good. Looking here, his speed is pretty good. His contact's good, but there's not really a a very good 80 plus grade rating anywhere. The contact's all right, power's a little bit to be desired for, and the fielding isn't great either. So he's a little bit of a concern for me, but we will be getting him at a good value since they had it projected as the ninth, and we have him projected as the third best player in all of the draft. And the rest of these players, a starting pitcher, a third baseman, a first baseman, and another starter would be the top 5 choices for us. I don't really see anybody else that makes sense. So we're going to settle down and go with the original center fielder that we were going to go with anyways, probably. He's switch hitting, so that's a benefit for sure. But hopefully he's on that higher end of the potential. And as an 18-year-old, he'll have a ton of time to progress. So with the 12th pick in the draft, we will draft Ray McAllister to start the 2026 draft. But jumping into our second pick, we'll have a second round pick at pick number 49. This is kind of where we go off the rails. I'm not really sure who we're going to go after here. We did a lot of scouting of just like random players throughout the top 100. We didn't really scout a lot of people to 100% outside of the top 12, just to kind of figure out who we were going to pick in that kind of middle of the pack range. But one player we have found that is a hidden gem is Barney Robert, the right fielder out of Tennessee. Looks to be very good. He's only 10% scouted, so it's going to be a little bit of risk. So we're going to wait on him. We may try to get him around that 89th pick, maybe even 119th. On our board, he's slotted as the 31th pick, but again, with only 10% knowledge, I'm not sure that's the case. So it really only leaves us about 2 options: to go with another outfielder, so one of these 3 guys here, or switch it up and go for a closing pitcher. I scouted 3 closing pitchers to 80%. They all look very good. Their baselines for potential are very high, and Robbie Rooney here is all the way up to 95, so he could be a very good player down the road. He is a little older. I think we're going to go with another outfielder, one of these 3 guys. I want to look through them and kind of decide on who we want. And I think the player we're going to go with is Carlos Doe. He does look to be a little bit worse off the top from Francisco Sanchez, but I think the bat tool is there. I think we've spent a lot of time just not focusing specifically on the batting. I think that's kind of where we need to line a little bit better going forward. Sanchez has a little bit worse of a bat tool. He does have really insane speed, but minimal fielding. Where if you look at Doe, similar scouting percentages, he has a better bat. With a little better fielding, it's just a little slower. So I think our solution here is to go with Doe to fill out that left field spot and give us another prospect in the outfield. So for the 49th pick, we will pick him up, and we're going to move on to our next pick at, I think, 50 something. Let's go ahead and check in on that. Correction, it was pick number 70. So we'll have another chance here. We could go with another right fielder, Luis Palmeiro, but I don't think we will. I think we're going to go with the closing pitcher this time. One of these 3 guys, they're still all here. They're slotted around that 78 to 80 range. I think it's going to be a good solution to pick them up here. We passed on Kai Crum last year, who was a really good closer. We're not going to make the same mistake this year. We'll settle down and select a closing pitcher here. And looking through here, unfortunately, Barney Robert was one of our secret picks, but the Rays found him as well, and they'll pick him up a couple draft picks ahead of us. I'm pretty sad about that. Hopefully he doesn't pan out to be a great player, but he'll be a Ray for his tenure for a few years. And I really kind of decided to go between Alfonso Espinoso and Robbie Rooney. I think we're going to go settle down with Robbie Rooney out of Texas. He just looks like to be a little bit better. His velocity isn't as high as I would hope, but with the 4-seamer, slider, cutter, changeup combo, I just think that works out a little bit better, even though his velocity isn't there. So we're going to settle down and get Robbie Rooney as our future closer at the number 70 pick. And moving on to round number 3, we have the 89th pick. I thought about going with Luis Palmeiro, but just with the limited scouting we got him for, I don't think that's a choice. I want to go with Johnny Veach. The 18-year-old has potential from 74 to 89. He's only 18 years old. He has a 62 to 77 overall rating, and that's what we're going to go with just a couple seconds left as we go with a righty reliever. His velocity is very good. We'll take a look at his pitch mix here as well. It's very interesting. He throws a 4-seamer, sinker, cutter. So we may add a pitch down the line, but just to start off through the minors, I think that'll be 100% viable for us. And then for our 4th round pick, we're going to go with Matt Sanderson, a first baseman. Again, you don't have a ton of time here to choose these guys. I went with him just solely based on potential. He is 21 years old. His overall is abysmal. He's only 10% scouted, but even if he slots in around that 75 to 80 range on the lower range of his potential, I think it'll still be a decent player. His stats are, again, very bad because his overall is very bad, but hopefully he can develop down the line into something around that 26, 27-year-old range. And then moving on to round 5 at this point, it's just a crapshoot. There's a couple outfielders we'll probably pick up. Not really sure who we like the most. I mean, looking here, you have some decent speed in Robert Gale. We'll probably settle with him. He's 18 years old. If he doesn't work out, it is what it is. But his potential range is all the way up to 91. So that's what we'll go with. So for the 149th pick, we'll settle on Robert Gale, the left fielder. And then for the last spot, again, you could throw a needle in a haystack and try to find it at this point. It's nothing really too crazy. I think we'll probably go with another guy, just high potential range. I think that we found him here, Carlos Castro. He is a very high potential, low overall type of player. But again, 22, he is a switch batter, so that's very nice. He's 6'4". Maybe he can develop into, kind of a power hitter against one side, maybe be a platoon man down the line. But with just that high potential, I think we're going to take a risk here. Not really a risk with a 6th-round pick, but to fill out that infield a little bit more with some prospects, we'll go with Carlos Castro as a 179th pick of the draft. But as we get out of that draft, we will jump straight into the home run derby. You can see the top 8 home run hitters this season. You have Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Brent Rooker for the top 3, and then Green, Seager, Hoskins, Tatis Jr., and then Kyle Tucker, the new Dodger, in that A spot with 22 homers. 2 guys above 30 this year, on pace to hit about that 55 to 60 mark, so they could be setting new records for their respective teams, which is pretty interesting. Judge, hit 60, I think 62 2 years ago. So he might be on pace to break that. But looking at our team, we're actually sitting at 16th in the league with 104 home runs. Josh Naylor actually has 18 homers this season, so he wasn't too far out of getting into the Derby, but just didn't get quite there towards the rest of the season. He did have to start off with a slump at the beginning of the year, but he's picked it up really well, batting .272 now with an .830 OPS. So a really exceptional hitter, a really exceptional pickup in the second half of the first half of the season. But jumping back in here, we'll go ahead and jump in here and simulate and see who wins. We're not going to pick anybody to play with. I just like to see who wins. But you can see kind of the breakdown of at-bats per home runs. About every 3rd game, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge hit a homer. So that's pretty electric stuff. Well, let's go ahead and see who's going to win it this year after Shohei Ohtani took it home last year. Can he go back-to-back in home run derbies? So Fernando Tatis Jr. will be the 2026 Home Run Derby champion. Shohei didn't make the top 4. He was actually tied with Judge. So was Rhys Hoskins and Riley Green, but they didn't make the cut. You can see Aaron Judge beat Corey Seager to go on to the championship. And then Tatis Jr. beat Rooker. Even though Corey Seager led the pack with 28 homers, he must have wore himself out in that first round. So Fernando Tatis will be the 2026 Home Run Derby champion. Judge and Tatis went to hit off. You can see on screen, it was pretty electric. Tatis was able to hit 2 in the last round where Judge was only able to hit 1. But pretty fun stuff. Hopefully next season we can have a player jump into this and maybe we'll be able to get into it and see if we can take it home for the Nashville Stars. But getting into the All-Star game, you can see the starting lineup here. Unfortunately, our lone All-Star, Josh Naylor, did not make the cut. But we'll jump into the later halves of this game to give him a couple hits. I think he'll probably get 2 at-bats in this one. But let's go ahead and see how he does after he's had a .272 season with 353 at-bats. Can he give the National League All-Stars a little bump off the bench? And Josh Naylor will come up to pinch hit in the 7th inning as the National League is down 2-0 in the bottom of the 7th. Facing Naylor will be Emmanuel Clase in his first at-bat. And that'll be a heater, 101 right down the middle. And a Clase is definitely a scary pitcher to be facing here for your first time on the day in the DH role. The second pitch, 100 miles an hour, up and out in the top left-hand corner. Good timing, though, by Naylor, just not able to line it up with the barrel of the bat. Maybe he needed a torpedo bat there. Pitch number 3 is his cutter that is trademarked. Clase is known for that cutter that can get up to 101 miles an hour. It's in the same pitch that moves a ton. It always gives hitters fits, but Josh Naylor's able to lay off there. The slider inside, 91 miles an hour, in on the hips. Pitch number 5 will get him swinging and missing, and he will strike out for his first appearance today. Let's see if he can get a second one. I'm not sure if he will. It's late in this game. Maybe the boys can tie it up in the next couple innings. And on to bat is Naylor for another opportunity. 2 on, 2-run game. Oh, as he takes the first one, a splitter. Definitely a missed spot, middle of the zone there by Martinez. But Naylor has a shot, a big shot here to not only tie it up, take the lead if he can put one over the porch. He gets a slider at the knees. Strike two. 0-2 count. 2 outs. Bottom of the ninth. 2 on. Can he get it done here? Another one up the middle. Another splitter that missed the spot. And they're not going to send the runner from third. Oh, my goodness. And they will be stuck at third. But bases juiced for William Contreras. We're going to control him here. See if he can get something going. The sinker down and away is a missed pitch for ball number 1. A walk would be great here to get a run across at least, to give us a crooked number on the board. The slider down and away will fool him a lot. He will miss that completely. Way too early on at the slider at 88. And another nice pitch as Martinez has the splitter working for him now. Below the zone, strike number 2, choking up on the back. Contreras is going to see another offering here to lay off that one. The splitter missed. Maybe I gave him a little bit too much benefit of the doubt as the second splitter of the at-bat misses by a few inches. And well in the zone, a contact hit doesn't get down. It'll find a glove as the American League will take the win here in the 2026 All-Star Game. But at least Josh Naylor was able to get a hit, put one roped right through the infield under the pitcher for a 1-for-2 day. Not too bad. He did what he needed to do, but the National League All-Stars weren't able to come up with it, and we'll keep it pushing. We're going to jump ahead a few weeks and get right into the signings of our signees, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you all in a second. But before we get into the signings, I completely forgot about the Futures Stars game, and look who we have here, Chris Patton as our future star. He hasn't had that good of a go of it. 106 and 2/3 innings pitched. His ERA is not too bad, but looking there, his team really hasn't given him a lot of run support. 5-7, which again, wins and losses nowadays isn't really the big moniker of how well a pitcher is doing. It's more ERA, FIP, different things like that. But looking here, 3.63 ERA with a WHIP under 1.4, which is really kind of around that marker you want to stay under. 73 strikeouts, like I said, 106 or so innings of work. So he definitely deserves it, and he will be getting the start today. Probably Dave Driver should get it, but honestly, if I'm going to be managing this, I'm taking control of my boy, as he will get the start facing off against Joel Dell on the other side. Let's go ahead and get into it and see some of his highlights from his very first Future Stars game, and maybe his last if he makes the call up soon. But you can see here in his stripes, the new jersey on him, the National League Future Star. It looks to be very good. Almost has a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk rate, which is absolutely exceptional. But the first batter up will be Kyler Hassett to face Patton, as he will foul that one off for strike number 1. I probably won't cover all the players he's facing today, but we're definitely want to cover this first one just to get him out of the way. See if we can strike him out here on this slider. But he'll foul the third straight pitch off to stay alive. He's a shorter guy out here, smaller strike zone. But can we get him with this fastball? Yes, we do. Right by him, 95 on the gun. And that'll be a big first strikeout for the top prospect in our organization. He was a 6th top prospect in all of baseball at the start of this season. We haven't checked up on it in a while. We'll have to do that here soon. But regardless, he's looking very good out there. Very comfortable on the bump in a major league stadium. Although the pitching mound 6 feet 6 inches everywhere, definitely the vibe of the stadium is a lot different than a minor league. As Hope is able to range back and get that one. It looked a little bit wonky. He was turning left and right, but he saves his pitcher from getting a hit in the first inning. Third batter up. We'll take that 2-seamer outside for ball number 1. He's been good so far, starting off each at-bat with a strike as Pratt tries to make a diving stop there. But that'll be the first base runner that Patton has allowed today. Matsumoto with a 69, little dribbler through the infield. Nothing too crazy. As Christian Campbell, I think the Red Sox top prospect, is up to face Patton. 1-1 count now after the slider miss. He answers back with a nice 4-seamer up in the zone. 2-seamer on the edge, not called a strike. So he will go to the changeup for the first time today. So he will somehow get to it well below the zone. Look to be unreachable there. But Campbell showing his range as Patton comes back with the slider down at the knees as he's able to get to it. Heater up in the zone, and that'll be a pop out to end the inning. Almost a 1-2-3, but he gets out with the fourth batter and a pop out. Couple strikeouts. A great start here by Patton as he will go on to the second. And taking a look here, you can see all the NL future stars. Some of these guys will probably be playing. Jose De Paula is good. Zaire Hope, a Dodgers guy, good as well. So we may see a ton of these guys, new faces in the next few years. But let's go ahead and get back to Patton on the mound and see if he can get through the second unscathed. But back up here in the top of the second, as Chris Patton will face, I think, the Twins' top prospect in Jenkins, as a two-seamer outside the zone almost gets him to bite, but somehow he's able to hold back on that bat. But the slider won't fool him as he goes down and gets it at the corner of the zone. That'll be the first base runner for the inning. No outs here. One on first. As Patton will have to work out the stretch for the rest of this inning. Four-seamer at 95 up at the top of the zone. Called strike one. No offering at it from the batter. Pitch number 2 is a ball. A two-seamer almost on the edge of the zone. No call there. Back to the slider in that same spot. As Velasquez almost gets to it, but fouls it off down the left field side. A little late on it. A little late on that four-seamer as well to drive it to the left side of the infield. Foul. As the pitch goes up the middle, Pratt not able to get to it. Another diving almost stop as a runner will halt at second base. So runners on first and second. And also, sorry if the game's lagging a little bit. It looks like it's lagging on screen right now for some reason. So apologies there. It's lagging for me anyway. So hopefully it's not for you all. But I do apologize. Back up, third batter of the inning. This is a double play ball right to second base. Mercedes to Pratt to Eldridge. But it's not a double play. They'll take the first at second. As Rohair is up. Fourth batter of the inning. As a four-seamer misses way up. Released that one a little too early. It wasn't a competitive pitch. He holds on to the two-seamer for too long. 0-2 now. Or 2-0 now. There goes a 3-0 as Carson Williams stands waiting. Bases might be juiced. But Patton strikes back with a nice four-seamer on the top black. As he gets a swing and a miss on the changeup, 84 miles an hour. Great pitch there. Can he answer back? But Derek Rohair takes one deep, but way foul on that four-seamer at the top of the zone. One pitch is all he needs. Full count. He's going to go back to his most dominant pitch, the four-seamer. And it gets him looking for the second out of the inning. Backwards K, second strikeout of the day. We'll get another look at it here. He just fires that in there. Definitely missed his spot. Wanted it up and in, but up and out on the edge of the zone will also work here. As it sits the fourth batter down. Another batter up. Carson Williams in the 9-hole, batting .323 on the season. Definitely a dangerous hitter. But Patton has been comfortable at ease now, even with runners in scoring position. He's been cool, calm, and collected. Can he maintain it here as he gets a called strike 2 on the slider? One more pitch, and his day will be done. The four-seamer gets Williams to pop up. DePaula is there for the third out. 2 innings of work. 2 scoreless innings of work from Patton. Off to a great first exposure to his first time on a big league field. We will go ahead and simulate to the end. Let's see how we do. As the NL All-Stars will take it home off of a couple doubles, RBI doubles and an RBI single. They will take home the Future Stars game 4-3. Maybe that's not necessarily a good thing. Or sorry, 5-4. But maybe that's not necessarily a good thing since we'll have to be playing a bunch of these guys in the next few seasons. Hopefully they were a little bit worse. But a good start today by our future ace, Chris Patton, will lead the NL Stars to a win. Well, let's, like I said, go ahead and jump into the signings of this year's class. Nothing else to cover before we get there. So the first player we will start with will be Robbie Rooney. We're going to go ahead and increase his signing bonus to $1.1 million, and he will sign with us. A great way to start this off. The closing pitcher looks to be a very good player, 84 to 94 potential, but we'll see here in a moment how he pans out. The second player will be Ray McAllister, the center fielder, our first round draft pick. We had to break down and sign him for $5.9 million. I was trying to get him way under slot value, but it just didn't work out. So we will be stuck with just under $6 million invested into McAllister. Next up, we have Carlos Castro, another early round pick. The first baseman has very good potential, 22-year-old and a switch hitter. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the guys and see where we're at. And with a few days left to sign our top prospects. And with only 2 days left to sign 3 players, and 2 of them below 46%, when only their motivation goes up a handful here and there, I don't feel like we're going to be able to sign all 3 of these guys. We may get Johnny Veach. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and switch Johnny Veach to the second spot, since at 2% we'll get him to that 50% motivation to sign, and then hopefully we can squeeze out a rounding error to get Robert Gale to 50%, but I don't think we'll have a chance with Matt Sanderson, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and advance and see if we can pick them up in the next week. With no days left to sign these players, I'm going to offer him the max I can. It's not the biggest deal if we don't get him, but he is our 3rd round draft pick, so I would love to sign him. And he will decide to come play for us. Thankfully, we're able to sign him. Then the last 2 remain here. Robert Gale, he's asking for $339,000. That's a minimum we can offer him. We're going to go ahead and offer him $400K. His motivation sign would be at 51. What the heck? Let's go ahead and try to get that to 52. I mean, we're spending a lot of money this year. Can we get him the 18-year-old left fielder? And he will sign with us. Thankfully, the 18-year-old, he was our 2nd round pick, I believe. We'll get another outfield prospect that can play everywhere in the outfield. So hopefully he'll be good down the line. And then the final player is Matt Sanderson, international first baseman. Looks to have very good potential. He's asking for $455K. We have a little bit more to offer, $608,000. A little bit high for his round pick, but I just want to sign everybody. We can't improve with signing nobody, and he will decline the offer. And unfortunately, we're not able to sign him, so he will go back to the draft next year. Maybe he'll improve. Maybe we can pick him up next year as an addition in the draft. But so as we pull into here, let's go ahead and get the big reveal. Where's the drum rolls? But this year, we have signed all but one of our players, and Ray McAllister is leading us off. Our 12th overall pick this year. The center fielder who can also play shortstop. Looks to be pretty good. Not going to blow you away with his speed, but he is a switch bat and only 18 years old. And with that 85 potential, he'll have a ton of time to prosper down in the minors. I see him starting out in A-ball next year, maybe bumping up to Double-A at some point. But Carlos Doe, another outfielder, a left fielder, didn't do as well. Was at the higher part of his range at 77 of 83. But he looks to be a very good contact back. The power is a little lackluster, but honestly, if he can be a leadoff guy, 81 against lefties with 75 speed, he may play very well, even though his ratings is 65 right now, and his potential is probably going to max out at 77. He may sneak up and get up to an 80, but we'll have to wait and see. But the best potential of the draft class, the 89 Robbie Rooney, the closing pitcher, the righty who can throw it about mid-90s on that four-seamer. Would love to see a little bit more velocity out of a closer. But honestly, he's not a bad pickup. He may slot in just as a relief pitcher in the bullpen down the line with a 22-year-old. Starts out at 66 overall with an 89 potential and looks to be very good. The only thing I really see as a big issue is his walks per 9. It's kind of issues, but his control, velocity again, would love to see that a little higher. Johnny Veach, another relief pitcher, slots in at 875 potential with 63 overall. Has a good velocity on all 3 of his fastballs. He has 3 different fastballs that he throws. Maybe you can work in a slider or a curveball at some point down the line. Matt Sanderson goes unsigned, so maybe we can sign him next year in a draft, or maybe we can sign him in free agency this year. And then Robert Gale, another left fielder, an 18-year-old, 79 overall in the 5th round. Not a bad get with his overall being 53, but potential being pretty decent. The 18-year-old is going to have a ton of time to develop. He's decently fast, but has a lot to work on in his hit tool. And then our last draft pick, Carlos Castro, the first baseman, has the 2nd best potential in the class, 86 overall there for us. So very, very good pickup, even though his overall is only 47. Again, very raw talent. He is 22, so he doesn't have that much time to improve. But if he can improve down the line, maybe he can be a big power bat. not a super contact heavy guy, or maybe you can fill in as a DH here and there. But the big 6'4" switch hitter could find a spot in the lineup down the road. But with that, that's the end of the episode. I hope you all enjoyed today. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like down below and consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed, it helps us to continue to grow this awesome community we've built here so far on YouTube. But again, I appreciate y'all just tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in episode 11. And a huge shout out to Chris, our very first premium channel member. Thanks for all your support, man. It's really appreciated.